Reptilians, crypto crackheads. Today is Friday. Happy Friday, August 27th, 2021. And turn it up to ×2 volume, playback volume, ×2 volume, ×2 playback speed. So initiation of timification is much more fun. Let's get after it. This is a Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Cardano whole market update. This is going to be an interesting one. Near the end of the video, I'm going to show you an EMA trick that is a little scary for current situation, so that you have more reason to be not bearish. I'm not saying reason to be bearish, but reasons to hold in the back of your mind that this could be cooking up to be a fairly nasty lower high from Bitcoin and Ethereum's all-time high near the end of the video. But things are in up direction right now, and so the trend is up. I want to be very clear with that. I'm not trying to convert anybody to be bearish immediately, but it is a reason to keep that in the back of your mind because it could happen very soon, and it's pretty definitive reason. I'll show that near the end of the video. But at the beginning of the video, what I want to show you is how there is a very strong difference, like a big difference between what's happening in Cardano, Bitcoin, and Ethereum right now. And I have been having this theory for quite a while, sine, cosine type of stuff, throughout my months of my videos, that Ethereum and Bitcoin have to work themselves out. And as you know, one's going up, the other's going down in a sine cosine way because the waves move differently, right? They crisscross. But now we have a third, we have Cardano in there, and things are getting pretty tricky. So I want to show you that it looks like right now, Ethereum is coasting. Bitcoin is forming what looks to be very likely going to be a first local lower high, and Cardano might not give any warning before it moves down, because it looks like it's the last pop, and it might just be dragged down by Bitcoin and Ethereum without much bearish divergence to account for, which does happen in Cardano. And I want to show you why I'm thinking those things. And then again, at the end of the video, I'm going to show you an EMA trick on Bitcoin, and then we'll go from there. So here we go. I'm on the 12-hour chart of Bitcoin. 12-hour chart seems to be working. So, you know, even if you're not in the Patreon community, which they've heard me talk about the 12-hour chart on Bitcoin for probably a month now, it's working really well. The 5-day chart is working really well too. 2-day chart's working really well, even better than the daily and the 4-hour chart. So, so if you haven't looked at the 12-hour chart, you might want to do so. So we're looking at the RSI and the EMA, the 12 EMA of the RSI. So, no, maybe it's a EMA. Yeah, it's the 12 RSI. So, or the 12 EMA of RSI. And I'm going to take off the RSI so you can see just the EMA. So these are what I would call mountains of EMA, right? So put the RSI back on there and you see all the choppiness. So I'm removing the choppiness. We're only seeing the moving average, or the exponential moving average of RSI. I personally call those mountains, since it's not just spikes. So I call these mountains because the RSI, as it forms bearish divergence, just like one strike and stuff, something like this, a lot of times its highs happen on lower spikes of the green. That would be the high. Well, actually, that one would be the high. It'd be higher than that one. I kind of messed this one up. But the lower spikes would be the ultimate high. And so that would be one strike of bearish divergence. But now you have 3 mountain strikes of bearish divergence. And so watch. So I will make this more mountainy looking. And one high, the highest high, 1 strike. Another high, 2 strikes. Yet another high, but a lower little mountain. So it might be kind of 3.5, because it kind of dipped and went like this. Let's call it 3.5 mountains. So 3rd strike, another high, and then the 4th high. So 4 strikes of bearish divergence, of mountainous bearish divergence on the 12-hour. A lot of dips, if you go back in time, you only get 2 strikes of bearish divergence, or you only get 2 strikes of bearish divergence, not on a mountain, but rather just on the RSI spikes itself. So something like this, you got no bearish divergence on the 12-hour. It just moved down. Something like this, you had 2 strikes, 1 mountain, 1 strike. Higher high, but a lower mountain, 2 strikes. You had 2 strikes of 12-hour bearish divergence before you caught that. So we're sitting at 4 strikes, essentially 3.5 strikes of mountain divergence on Bitcoin. And I'm not just saying that this is going to move down. I'm not necessarily giving you case to be bearish. I mean, hell, it could form like 5 strikes, right? So Bitcoin, throughout all this time, it formed 5 strikes of daily mountainous bearish divergence. So daily, not 12-hour. So this move might not be over. I'm not trying to say it's definitely over. I'm going to show you the differences, okay? All right, so now let's go to the daily RSI of Bitcoin. Put the RSI back on, and then I'm going to show you the differences between this and Ethereum and Cardano. It's very, very different. So throughout this whole time, RSI has been getting rejected from the daily. So this is the daily RSI. This is the bullish control zone. See this green line here? See that green line? This is all green. That means if RSI touches this, even like this kind of counts. You can make a new local high or a new higher high in general if you're close to all-time highs. So all of these peaking above are new local highs. This could have been, and that's an iffy one. Nope, it did not squeak out a higher high yet. So it was below. So you can see how this candle here did not squeak out a higher high. And what the RSI did is it stayed well below the green zone, did not make a new higher local high, right? But now that you're out of the bullish control zone, so this is below the green zone, and you have one full confirmed rejection from the RSI's EMA, the white line, this is cooking up to get another rejection before it moved down, right? Could it scream through? It could, but Bitcoin does not have the habit of doing that. After getting out of the green zone, getting rejected once or twice, it typically does, the RSI doesn't base here and just blast again. That does not happen very often. It usually resets either to the white line, between the white and the red, or at the red line, almost always. It's very uncommon for you to just get a blast up here after this specific situation. Let me recap that situation. It's important for you to know. If you don't use RSI, you might want to you might start digging this if you see how easy it is. Green zone. If you are below the green zone and you get rejected a couple times or once on the daily, okay, so you can't really use this on the 1 hour. The 1 hour, this starts having significance maybe at the 4 and 8 hour charts, okay, particularly for Bitcoin. For altcoins, if it's a young coin, you can use the 4 hour, sometimes the 2 hour, and use this rule. But anyway, if it's below the green zone and you get rejected, okay, usually you're going to have a reset of that time frame's RSI. Since we're on the daily and this is happening, that means the probability of resetting down into the zone is very, very high. Is it 100%? Absolutely not. But you can, I mean, I've done this a million times. Once you're out of the green zone here, you get rejected, rejected twice. What did it do before it popped? It hit the white line exactly. You see that? Here, it didn't get, this just tanked. So you had no bearish divergence, nothing. I think that's the same hump I was talking about earlier. You had no bearish divergence to think of. And I think that this was the market top of 64K, which it also just tanked. You didn't get any rejection. You had no warning. It just tanked, and then you had the lower high, and then you tanked down to 29K. All right, so going back in time, this formed a new local high back in December 1st, 2020. This formed another high, and this one was your first lower high. I can tell that without even looking at price, just by looking at the RSI. That's 3 strikes. It's not bearish divergence, 3 strikes. It's 3 rejections, but the first 2 don't really count. Why? I've already given the answer about 2 minutes ago. But the reason, so raise your hand. No, don't speak before I call on you. No. It's because it's in the green zone. Can you note that it's gotten rejected and it's probably once it's probably going to be driven out of the green zone? Absolutely. But here, this rejection, this was the first lower high. Doesn't look like Bitcoin went down very much. So this is in a kind of an anomaly. This does not happen very often. It bounced from not the white line. It did not fully reset. So let's go see what price was doing there, actually. I'm kind of getting off topic here, but so I said this one did not form a higher local high. This one right there on that day, that candle. See how it did not form a local high, but this one right here, ooh, this one actually came up shy too. Just barely though. So this one was the local high right there. Usually this can make a higher local high. I'm kind of surprised that one didn't squeak one out, but it was close. All right. So again, the current scenario for Bitcoin's RSI on the daily is you're below the green, you working on your second rejection under the green zone. Let's go to Ethereum. Ethereum, like I said earlier, is just coasting. So let's make it even go to the 12-hour chart. So you are way below. So you don't have multiple mountains. So look at the white line only. Actually, I can just do this. So you don't have mountains of bearish divergence. You just have a couple here. However, the RSI itself, the green stuff, is way below. It's been chilling way below for quite some time and getting rejections below the RSI. I can't believe this hasn't moved down anymore. This is like hanging by a thread. So you see the difference between the 12-hour Bitcoin and Ethereum. Okay, so now let's go to the daily on Ethereum, and it has one rejection, 2, 3, working on its fourth rejection below the green zone. And the weird thing is, it had a bigger pump going deeper into the green zone while Bitcoin got rejected. So Ethereum got more bullish and then started coasting and not making lower highs more aggressively, more quickly, because it went way past, it went way under the green zone very quickly. However, Bitcoin was up here getting rejected the whole time, just barely spiking in. So it looks like Ethereum is holding onto a thread before a move down. That's what it looks like to me. All right. Could it base off of this point and go for another push? It could. It could. However, this was making higher highs the whole time, and this one clearly is not. You're making lower highs. All right, so it's a bit different. But what could end up happening, is that this is just one move down before you do make that higher high. That is totally possible. I don't feel that happening, but it looks like it's hanging by a thread right now. That's what it looks like, not in position to make any sort of higher highs. It's getting rejected by the EMA. Now look at Cardano. Cardano is working on its, I guess, maybe second rejection from the EMA, but remember, those don't really count as much as let me make sure I'm freaking recording. Yeah, I am. So those don't really count as heavily. Again, why? Because it's in the green zone. So this is the daily RSI of Cardano, and even if you get rejected here, you still make higher highs. If you're in the green zone, you can and likely will make higher highs. So it looks like Cardano wants to give another push, and I mean it's probably going to pass $3. I would say 3.14, maybe 3. I would say it'd be slightly less than this push here. That push was 22%. Let's call it 18% from here. So $3. I bet it's going to pierce $3. Could go up to 3.15. But it looks like it's going to make another higher high, while Ethereum and Bitcoin don't look like it. So so what is likely going to happen with Cardano is you're going to have one of these where you have no bearish time. It just tanks. You have no heads up that it's going to tank. And this was also a case, I think, on May 6th. So let's look at May 16th on Bitcoin. Pretty sure that wasn't Bitcoin's overall top. Nope, see, Bitcoin's overall top was on May 14th, 2 days later, closing right just at the daily 10 when it was already beginning its move down. That's when Cardano put in its higher high and Bitcoin dragged it down, because Bitcoin was 2 days ahead of Cardano. And it was tanking. It was starting to make a big move down, but Cardano said, nope, right here, I'm going to squeak out one more high. Oh, wait, shit, Bitcoin's going down. Bam, I better go down too. It just got dragged down with absolutely no warning on Cardano. And I think the same thing might be about ready to happen. So that is my theory on it's kind of like time frames cascading into each other. For example, if the daily is bullish on everything, but the 4 hour, the 2 hour, the 1 hour are all looking bearish, they're turning down, those three time frames have a decent chance of dragging down the daily so that a move finally starts going down. It's kind of cascading into it, but I'm seeing something similar, a cascade effect happening from Ethereum to Bitcoin to Cardano, and I think it's going to get dragged down. I think it's pretty probable. Again, it might not happen. I'm not trying to convince you to take on shorts, and hell, I would not try to short Cardano right now. There's nothing in the chart saying it won't make a higher high. Actually, everything in the chart is saying it will make one more higher high at least. So I wouldn't try shorting Cardano. right now. So, so I'm not trying to say take on shorts, people take on shorts. Definitely not saying that. The trend is up. So this is kind of like more spotting potential trend reversal, maybe, which I might do a little too frequently if I must critique my own trading. But this one looks pretty compelling. So that's what we got for you. Now, Bitcoin, going back to Bitcoin, that EMA trick that I was talking about, and I've already shared this more in detail with my community on Patreon to all tiers. I just posted it in the library section. So if you happen to be on my Patreon, go to the library section. It's the thumbnail that says 200 EMA, 200 SMA. But look, so I'm going to pull up the daily chart here, and I'm going to throw on these two moving averages. So one is the simple moving average, the other is the exponential moving average. So what you're looking at here, let me take off price, so we're only looking at these two lines. What we're looking at here is when the dull orange line is above or crosses above the bright orange line. So typically bearish stuff happens when the orange dull line crosses above the bright line, and bullish moves can happen once finally. So you won't get a macro move up until they recross. So clearly price was trying to get up and out of here, but it had to wait until that cross happened first, right? So let's so that's what we're looking at. Now let me put back on price so you can see. So the dull line was let me zoom in a little bit. So here, zooming in on 2013, maybe 2014. Yeah, 2014. This is 2014 after that monstrous push. You got back above the daily 200 EMA, but you ultimately ended up failing. Why? The dull line was above the bright orange. You're not ready to dig out. Sorry, they need to cross first. So still not crossed, still not crossed, still not crossed. Oh, we crossed. Okay, this one has a chance of sticking, right? It still failed. So that is the only one exception that I've seen, but it's to the downside. It's an exception to the downside, not an exception to the upside. There are no exceptions in Bitcoin, okay? That the dull orange is above this and you get a recovery. It doesn't happen. It hasn't happened. Will it happen? It could. There have been a lot of firsts here because the market psychology is totally different with institutions, hedge funds, and particularly exchanges playing around with Bitcoin as well. It could happen for the first time, but I'm showing you it's not very likely. So the dull line is above the bright orange line. You had a rally above. Actually, that one is not. You had a rally above. It failed. Rally above the bright orange line. It failed. When did your rally stick? At the cross. Look how perfectly that cross got that monster market buy. Look at that. Look at that. That's pretty compelling stuff. This is, I don't know. I can't believe I haven't seen this before because I usually use the weekly 10 and the 10s, the 10 EMA and the 10 SMA, but this works better. So you had the cross here, the bearish cross. Your rally failed. Dull line above the bright orange line. Rally up. Dull line still above, you're going to fail. Here's your cross, your rally up. So it was off by about 5 days, but it still crossed, meaning your rally can sustain itself. And it did. And now this takes us to present day. Bearish cross, dull line. So I have a line, I have that line there, so it looks bright, but it's not. So the dull line is above. You had a rally above. The likelihood of it failing is huge. This bright orange line, before a rally sustains, likely needs to cross or be very close to crossing and cross just after the next rally. It's not even close to crossing. The chance of this rally sustaining itself, and I'm not saying all new lows. I'm not saying that. But I mean, hitting something like this box around 40K is hugely likely, if not a little lower. That's just how Bitcoin moves with these EMAs. And this is in line with, all my talk about the weekly 10. If you close a lot of candles below the weekly 10, your first attempt to get back above it almost always fails. But this one gives a little bit better visual. So the chance of this being, a market, just the lower high, okay, similar to this or this before more continuation. I mean, it's possible. Do I think that that's what's happening? I'm not going to say that. I don't know. I mean, deep inside, I sure as hell hope not. I want things to go up, but you're going to make a lot more money if we do have a downturn and, something like 25K is it. I promise you, within a 2-year time frame, you will make more money if that happens. You will. Then if Bitcoin only comes down to 40, let's say 42K, then keeps going to the moon, you will make money if Bitcoin does this. I'm telling you. But even though you would make more money here, I'm not rooting for this. Kind of maybe the dark, like maybe the demon, the devil versus the angel. Maybe the devil saying, "Hey, 25K, let's do it." But the devil might be right in this case. It's a little bit more lucrative. But it's very possible. I want you to know that it is totally possible that a new low is made in this scenario. Okay. Now, a failure doesn't mean new lows necessarily, although in the past it has every time, every single time, not one exception, not one. So statistically, the bet that that low is in, I mean, there are a lot of indicators saying it is. You'll see across other channels, a lot of my community, I've told them to watch a couple of other traders, and they end up doing that, and a lot of their signals saying the bottom's in. At the same rate, these EMAs, both weekly and the daily 200s, SMA and EMA are indicating that it's a strong chance we do break below here. And it's an extremely strong chance that this rally won't just like make a awesome higher low here and keep going. It's very unlikely. It's extremely unlikely. So just words of caution. Again, I want to reiterate one more time. This video is not to convince anybody to take on shorts. I really hope to not see comments saying, "Oh, I took on shorts and I got wrecked," just because Bitcoin went up first to 49.5. Okay, that's in the cards here, right? That's not making new highs. So I'm not trying to say take on shorts. I'm not saying that. I'm more saying now might be a good time to be taking profits and holding some stablecoin or fiat. So if you've been making profits this whole run up on altcoins or whatever, now looks like a perfect time to be doing that. And sitting and waiting for another reentry instead of just milking more, trying to get that next spin, up. Now might be the time to take your profits. That is what I'm saying, not financial advice. This is about Pokemon profits, Pokemon cards of, Bitcoin, Pokemon cards, all that stuff. Not financial advice. Not a financial advisor. I'm here for entertainment and education purposes only. And if you liked what you saw here today and you're new, hit subscribe. And if you do subscribe, let me know in the comment section, please, if you want to be a cryptillion or a crypto crackhead. Those are the pronouns, the gender neutral pronouns of this community. Feel free to check out Patreon the first of the month starting. It's best to sign up at the first of the month. Maybe put that on your calendar. You'll get daily updates, all that good stuff, and more exclusive videos. And if you're returning, just smash the like for me. Leave me a comment down below, even if it's you suck LOL and you just got Timified. Have a good weekend.